Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Brittany and today I will be sewing a dress while I give people in their 20s life advice from me, a 31-year-old lady. I thought it'd be kind of boring to just sit here and talk to you without doing anything, so I'm going to sew this dress so you can watch me do something, and plus I just need an excuse to make another dress. Today I will be sewing the Cora pattern from the fabrics store. This is a free pattern if you want to sew along or if you want to find it online or anything. I found this cotton gray and white striped bed sheet at the thrift store that I will use for my fabric. So if you end up liking this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you can. It tells YouTube I'm doing a good job, and I want to make sure I'm doing a good job in putting good content and information out there on the internet. So with that being said, let's get started. I've already cut my pattern pieces out. So first step is cutting the fabric, and I've got my phone charging where I have all my notes about all the things I've learned in my 20s that I want to tell you kiddos, because there's a lot. And let me tell you something, my 20s were hard. I feel like my 30s have been, well, with the exception of a health crisis, my 30s have been much better than my 20s. For any of these things I talk about, by the way, I would love for you to comment down below and tell me your take on things. Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have a different take on it? I want to hear, because I am all about learning as much as possible in life and getting all kinds of life lessons from people's experiences. Also, I want to say some of these are like serious topics about life, and some of them are just pretty casual tips for life. So it'll be a good mix of the two. Your job does not have to be the entire meaning of your life, your literal essence, your identity. It doesn't have to be your passion. When I grew up, it was really drilled into us that your job just had to be basically everything about you. It was such, they placed this huge emphasis and importance on like, get the perfect job, make the most money, blah, blah, blah. But the older I'm getting, the more I'm more okay with my career not working out exactly as I pictured it. I view jobs as transactional now. Jobs to me are a means of which you can go live the life you want to pursue outside of work. My job's not my most favorite thing in the world. I did not dream of doing this job. It's not my passion. It's not what I studied. But I view it as a means to earn money and to pursue things outside of work that bring me joy, like sewing, art, YouTube, cooking, gardening, anything that brings me joy and stuff like that. That is what my job is for. My job is a means to live my life outside of work with the money I make from that. I used to get so wrapped up in my 20s about like, oh, I'm not at this place in my life. I'm not at, senior manager level by 30. I thought I would be. I've only been promoted once in my life. I'm at a lower level for my age than most people in that organization. In my 20s, that would have bothered the heck out of me. I would have been beating myself up for not working harder, like not advancing faster, not getting to the place in the career that I like dreamed of or thought I would. But like, your job doesn't have to be everything about you. And while we're at it, your timeline, this isn't about work. It's about life, everything. Your timeline should not be compared to anybody else. Like maybe you're 25 years old, you decided not to go to college, wasn't for you, you're not sure what you want to do, and that's fine. Maybe you're a cashier somewhere and you're beating yourself up because you're only a cashier. For those that are just listening only, when I said only a cashier, I used air quotes. I don't want you to think I frown upon cashiers. A cashier has a place in society. It's a respectable job, and that's okay that you're doing that. If you don't have your career figured out and what you want to do, that's fine. It doesn't have to be your entire essence. And your timeline is yours alone and not to be compared with anybody else. Judge Judy, she didn't get started in her celebritydom, for lack of better words, I think till she was like 50 or something like that. Same with Oprah. She didn't start pursuing her Oprah stuff till I think her 40s. There's lots of examples of that where like people's timelines and what they're known for didn't start till later. And so if you're 25 and you're a cashier and you have no idea what you want to do, that is fine. And there should be no pressure on you. You shouldn't compare yourself to other people. Well, all these people I went to high school with, like they just graduated college and they're becoming like these huge financial bros. Good for them, but also that's not what you want for your career. You don't know what you want, and that's okay. And you're exploring life right now, and you're taking it one day at a time. Right now, you're a cashier, you're 25, and that's your timeline, and that's okay. And it will work out the way it's supposed to. And if that means you're going to be a cashier for 10 more years, that's fine. Helping someone is sometimes going to be a waste if they are not ready to receive help, or if they don't want help, or if they don't want to change in the first place. I'll tell you a story. When I was young, I had a friend who was older, kind of like more of a family figure. They had a, I would say, borderline hoarder problem. And I went over there for the first time, saw their house, and I offered to help them clean it. They did not ask for help, so I, trying to be nice, offered to help clean. It was a lot of work. I think I remember it took like 2 days alone just to clean the kitchen, which was one of those small kitchens in an apartment. Like it wasn't a huge, massive kitchen. Point is, it was a lot of work. But about a few months later, I go back and it's just as bad, if not worse, than before. And I learned a valuable lesson that sometimes people are just not ready to receive help. They didn't ask for it, they don't want it, and that's fine. And with those, you know, kind of harder topics like that, it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. If you're dealing with somebody who's struggling with alcohol or drugs, like sometimes you cannot help them unless they are ready to receive help, and you just have to accept that for that, and you have to be patient and wait for them to be ready to receive the help. Don't lie at work. You would be surprised how many grown adults outright lie in meetings. Are you aware of such and such? Are you knowledgeable on such and such topic? Oh, and they get caught later on, they look like a fool. Don't lie at work. Admit when you don't know something. It's an opportunity to grow, and good managers will respect that. Don't lie at work. And especially in meetings, like, did you do such and such? Yep, sure did. You would not believe how many adults do that. Don't do that. Take all your PTO, take your breaks. I used to be like, oh, I can't take my break, I don't want to look bad, and like, oh, I can't say anything about my vacation coming up. Girl, take your PTO, take your breaks. Literally, so many people, I don't understand, so many people literally like prioritize their job over their literal life. Like, do you think you're gonna lay on your deathbed and be like, oh, I wish I worked more? No, you're gonna say, I wish I took that PTO and went on vacation. So take the PTO and go on vacation. You deserve it. You worked for it. It is your hard-earned PTO and your hard-earned breaks. You're not a hero if you don't take them. Kind of work related, something happened to me I want to tell you about that makes me think of work. Get comfortable making people uncomfortable. I will tell you a story. I used to be in my 20s, early 20s, so shy. Holy moly, so shy. I did not understand the concept of small talk. I didn't want to ever hurt anybody's feelings. I worked at this restaurant as a cashier. It's kind of a joke in the restaurant industry when you're a young woman working. The line cooks, back of house staff, the men, they're like in love with you. Like, I saw this in my head, I knew what was happening. Every shift, it was like a competition of like, the men would be like, how many hugs can I get from her? And I saw through it. I knew what was going on, but I was too scared to say anything. So let me tell you what happened. Every shift, all the line cooks would be like, can I have a hug, Brittany? Can I have a hug? Can I have a hug? I was too scared to ever say no. I was not comfortable giving a hug because I knew it was like, it was not genuine. It was weird. It was sexual. I was too uncomfortable with literally making somebody else uncomfortable and saying no, that I ended up getting. I wish I was kidding. One of the cooks took it so far that they bit my neck and like grabbed my, and I still didn't say anything. If that happened to me now, I would not be shy at all. I would give them a piece of my mind. So, what is the lesson in that? Be comfortable with making people uncomfortable. No is a complete sentence. Can I give you a hug? No, I'm not comfortable with that. That's good enough. Don't worry about people's feelings, and don't prioritize other people's feelings over yours. Your feelings matter too. To completely disregard your own feelings for the sake of somebody else's comfort, that's crazy. Especially like with the story I told you. It literally got to the point where I got, because I didn't want to make somebody feel uncomfortable. Be comfortable making people uncomfortable. This next one, I am sorry to say, It's unfortunately true. I didn't want it to be true for a long time, but working hard at work rarely gets you a promotion. Rarely. It's true. Unfortunately, it is literally about how much you smoosh to the right people and your networking and how good you can make your department look. That's it. That's how you get promoted. It's nothing about how hard you work. It's nothing about how smart you are. This next one is kind of about work. Maybe can be applied to life in general. It's about failure and quitting. Failures should not be viewed as failures, as silly as that sounds. Failures, I have learned, are opportunities to learn and grow. Anytime I make a mistake in sewing, I become a better sewer. It's an opportunity to learn a lesson and to learn something new. I got fired from this job. I just was not good at it. Guess what? You learned a lesson there. I'm not good in this role. I don't enjoy these tasks. Now you know that about yourself and you can grow as a person from that. And to kind of continue on that a little more, quitting sometimes is just fine. Quitting should not be viewed as bad. That drives me crazy when people think quitting in any context, any situation is bad. Quitting sometimes is the right decision to do. Quitting sometimes is good for your mental health. And this can apply to like quitting a job, quitting a hobby, quitting a business you're trying to start. You could start a business, spend some money into it, and then 4 months later realize, you know what, this is not for me. I gotta tap out. Some people would punish themselves in that instance and say, no, I started, I gotta tough it out, I gotta finish what I started. I don't agree with that. I think quitting sometimes is the correct thing to do, and it is just fine. I really do. It's time for sewing. All right, this next one was a lesson that took me a long time to learn in my 20s, and it might be different for kids in their 20s today. When I was in my 20s, Facebook was still very much a very, very big prominent part of your daily life. Like, you just posted on Facebook all the time about anything. I was at a period in my life where I was discovering my religious and political affiliations and beliefs, and man, I would get into all kinds of fights on Facebook. First, let me tell you what the tip is. Here it is. You ready? Don't try to be rational with irrational people. You will always lose that fight every time. And that took me a long time to learn, because I would see people, with the Facebook example, I would see people say the most ludicrous stuff, just outright plain wrong, easily verifiable with a quick Google search. And I would just want to fight and no, they're wrong. I have to prove them wrong. They're just wrong. It's wrong for them to be so wrong. They can't walk around being that wrong. And the older I got, the more I realized I was wasting my peace and my energy with those fights. I actually learned this tip from my dad. He's the one that told me that, literally the phrase, don't try to be rational with irrational people. That coined phrase I got from him. And he's very right. It took me a while to really understand. He would tell me that and I'd just be like, no, they're wrong. I have to prove them wrong. He's like, they're not gonna change their mind. And he's right. They will literally never change their mind sometimes. You cannot convince them. You will lose that fight every time. Preserve your peace, preserve your energy. Just go on about your day, and sometimes the best response is no response and just saying, okay, and moving on. The next tip I have is not so work related. It's more about life, something I went through recently. I had a very traumatic health crisis that I experienced, I think it was about 1.5 years ago now, almost 2 years. And if you're curious what happened to me, I will link a video in the top right. It is called My Long COVID Experience. And long COVID is basically when you get COVID and you never get better. And I am still dealing with symptoms to this day. I'm not better yet. I'm much better, but I'm not back to my normal self, and I've kind of lost hope that I ever will. The reason I bring this up is because my next tip for you is about health and body image and stuff. You are not immune to disease and illness. Pardon me, but these next few bits will make me sound pretty not cool, but these are lessons I've learned in life that I'm trying to share. Before I got sick, I literally thought if you eat healthy and you exercise and you take care of yourself, you won't get sick. What a dummy. That's not true, obviously. That's very not true. There are many things, many diseases out there, many conditions that I learned about going through this, that it does not matter how healthy you are, it can happen to you. And I don't mean this to scare anybody. I mean this to say, live your life fully. You're not immune to bad things that can happen to you. You can't prevent some of these diseases and illnesses, and it might happen to you. And it might happen to you when you're young. I hope it doesn't, but it might. That was kind of a tip for you for like a kind of sobering moment, I guess. You're not immune to that, and that could happen. And to carry on to that, you cannot determine somebody's health status by simply looking at them. Skinny does not equal healthy. Fat does not equal unhealthy. You really have no idea what somebody is going through just by simply looking at them. They could be on very harmful chemotherapy drugs that make you lose a lot of weight, and they might be really skinny, and you might look at them and think, oh wow, they're really skinny. They must be in great shape. But you really have no idea. So this one, when I learned it, was kind of revolutionary for me. It kind of changed my life. And if you have very bad anxiety, this is the one for you. And try not to roll your eyes when you hear it. Just try to hear me out. Your anxious brain is a big fat liar. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say your anxious brain is telling you, I'm not pretty. I'm not smart. They're not gonna like me at this interview. They're not gonna like me at this party. I won't know who to talk to at this party because I don't know anybody. There's all these things people can get anxious about, right? All these ruminating thoughts running through your head. What if, what if, what if, what if, what if? I'm not this, I'm not that, I can't this, I can't that. Your anxious brain is a liar because, oh God, this is very hard to explain. Who is to say that the opposite could not be true? Why are you, like, why you in your head, in your universe, why is that the absolute truth? Like, ask yourself that. What empirical evidence do you have that you are not smart, that you are not pretty, that nobody will like you? What empirical evidence do you have for that? You're not the expert on other people and their opinions. They are. So who is to say the exact opposite couldn't be true? You don't know that it's not true. What if you are smart? What if you are pretty? What if you nail the interview? What if everybody ends up liking you at the party? What if you have a fun time at the party? Do you see what I mean? Like, those anxious thoughts that ruminate and ruminate and ruminate, and you focus on them, ask yourself, like, why couldn't the opposite be true? I truly, truly, wholeheartedly believe there is somebody for everybody out there, at least for people who, like, are not asexual and they want to be with partners, right? I truly believe there's somebody for everybody. With this example, I like to think of cats. Just hear me out. Cats are cute, right? There is no ugly cat in the world. There's not one single cat that cannot be loved. Even the quote unquote ugliest cats, like maybe they got a tuft of hair on their forehead, but they're hairless everywhere else, and like, every cat is cute. The ones with the wobbly tummies, the ones with the short legs, the one with the big ears, the one with the small ears. Every single cat is cute. I truly think that of humans. I truly think that humans can be applied in the same manner. Like, no matter what you look like, there is somebody out there that will think you're pretty and you're cute and you're hot and you're sexy. Like, somebody will think that. There's somebody for everybody. And so back to like the anxiety liar brain thing, like, literally, who is to say that you are the authority on what everybody thinks about how you look? You're not. You're not in their head. You don't know what they think. It is just as plausible that everybody in a room could think you're so funny and so smart, and they love you and want to spend more time with you and get to know you. I'm trying not to place so much emphasis on looks, because there's more to life than how you look. Which, here's another tip for you. If you're in a relationship primarily for somebody's looks, you're gonna get bored real fast. Just letting you know. I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory. You probably already knew that. I mean, have your fun. Long term, you're gonna get bored. Sometimes people won't like you. And for me, when I was young, I was just so preoccupied with making sure everybody liked me. After every event, I would ask people, like, did they say anything about me? Did they like me? You need to get comfortable with people not liking you. That is okay. That is going to happen. And people will not like you for the most ridiculous reasons that you cannot control. And it makes no sense. Somebody could not like you because you look like somebody that reminds them of somebody they don't like. It could be as silly as that. I had to go through this in grad school. Am I No, I'm not. Literally, I'm a grown adult, and it blows my mind. I had a bully, but I had a bully in grad school. This person was literally just out to get me, did not like me. I did not do anything to deserve the treatment I got from this person. It tore me up. Like, this person was literally so mean to me. And I look back on that now, and that's going to happen. I literally did nothing to earn that. I did not deserve that. It's not fair. And sometimes there doesn't have to be a reason. Sometimes people will just hate you because they hate you, and that's good enough. There's literally no explainable reason, and you can't do shit about it. You can't. And you just have to learn to live with that. You know, sometimes it'll be in professional environments where you've got to figure out how to get along with this person, but it's gonna happen. People won't like you. Learn to be okay with that, and learn to understand that it doesn't have to make sense, and it won't make sense, and it's not fair, and learn to be okay with that, because you will be so much more at peace with yourself. I wish I understood that during grad school with that bully, because there were some days I literally did not want to walk in that building because I was like shaking like a chihuahua in anticipation of this person. And I look back now and I'm like, that was when I was still scared to speak up for myself. I needed to learn to be okay with the fact that people aren't going to like me, and that's okay. I don't have to have everybody like me. I am here on this earth for more reasons than people's approval. I am here for me to live my life, for me to make an impact in the ways that I can, in the ways that I think are important, which for me lately are spreading love where I can, and spreading positivity, and education. I love teaching, so that's why I've been focusing on YouTube a lot lately. I want to help people. That's what I think is important. I wish y'all could be here outside with me. It feels so nice. The next one is about more work stuff. I'll get to more life stuff too, I promise. Lots of companies nowadays use something called an ATS for job applications. It stands for Applicant Tracking System. And what this does is you get on their little portal, right? You fill out all their fields for your resume and everything, right? What happens is this ATS, this Applicant Tracking System, will scan your resume like a robot. Well, software will scan your resume for certain keywords that basically match the position you applied for. And you have to score above a certain percentage of matching to even be considered. So if you're trying to get a job and you keep getting rejected literally immediately within, you'll get an email in 30 minutes, no human ever saw your application because you did not get through their applicant tracking system. There are tools, I think it's jobscan.io. Copy all the text from the job description, paste it in the jobscan.io, paste it in their website. So you paste the text for the job description, paste the text on your resume, and it'll scan it just as if an ATS would, and it will give you a hypothetical score of how you would score with an actual ATS. So you can see how your resume will do before you submit it. And once I started doing that, I got more calls back. If you're shopping online and you want something real bad, but it's a little expensive, put it in your cart, your shopping cart on the website, put it in your cart and leave it. Leave it there, don't take it out, don't buy it, leave it. And make sure you sign up for their newsletter. Most online websites nowadays, right when you get on their website, it'll prompt you to take your email, give it to them. Because a lot of the times what happens is they'll search for customers who abandon things in their cart. And you might get emailed a coupon, and it might say something like, hey, we noticed you left this in your cart. Were you hesitating about it? Here's a coupon. I've saved a lot of money doing that. Also, if you shop on eBay a lot, this is mostly for the buy it now listings, not the auction types. If you like an item, click the heart, which means add to watch list, and just wait, and I guarantee you within 24 hours, you're gonna get an email from that person offering you a discount. I love this one. If they wanted to, they would. If he wanted to text you back, he would. If your boss wanted to promote you and you've asked for literally years, but it hasn't happened yet, if he wanted to, he would. So what I mean by this is I've exerted too much energy and or like gave away too much of my peace trying to fight with people to do things they don't want to do. I remember a guy I was talking to a while back before I was married. He would not text me for weeks at a time sometimes. And it just got to a point where it was like literally a deal breaker for me because there was no communication, literally for days at a time sometimes. And I didn't know it then, but I know now, like, if he wanted to text you, he would. He doesn't want to. So let it go. It's a harsh truth, but if they wanted to, they would. Okay, if you're in college and you need access to a scientific paper that is blocked by a paywall, you have to pay for it. Do not pay for it. You can either, number one, use your college's interlibrary loan system. It might be called ILL, and that's where you can borrow books, even if it's digital in this instance. You can borrow books interlibrary from like different libraries and get it that way. Or I, a lot of the time, used a company, nonprofit website, I don't know what it is, called sci-hub, SCI-hub. And this was a website where you could put the URL for the article you were trying to read, and it would give you the article. Somehow it found it for free and it would give it to you. And I lived on that in grad school. There's no like specific website I can give you for Sci-hub because they get in legal trouble a lot, so they're constantly changing their website. When I'm wanting to use Sci-hub, I don't go to a specific like sci-hub.com. I have to Google Sci-hub because it's going to be a different URL every time. I'm of the opinion that academic papers should be free for everybody, but they're not. Let's talk about family stuff. Sometimes you get to choose your family in life. Sometimes your family will not be the family that you were born in, and that's okay. I am not close with pretty much all of my family at this point. And that's okay. I'm at a point where I choose my family. I love my husband's family. I'm basically choosing them as my own family at this point. Should it go that way? Yeah, go that way. And that's okay. There's nothing to be ashamed of with that. It unfortunately sucks. I wish I had my family in my life, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that's okay. Speaking of family, let's talk about bringing children into the world. I am child-free by choice. Me and my husband do not want children. We're not doing that. And no, it's not because we hate kids. It's just because we decided it's not for us. And so the life advice I want to bring you here is, as I'm getting older, I'm not that old, but I'm getting old enough to where, a lot of my friends have had kids and stuff. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of these friends of mine who have had kids, they've got their family, they've had it going literally since they got out of high school. Some of them have told me that they kind of regret it in a way. They didn't say that exact words, but like, I didn't realize it would be this hard, sentiments like that. And what I want to say to you is, like, it sounds obvious, but really, really think hard about not only if you want kids, like that's easy. Do you want kids? It's not that deep to think about. Think about why. Why do you want to bring a human life into this world? For me, I came to the point where I thought there is just too much human suffering in this world. I suffered a lot through my childhood with things I won't mention on here. I'm just of the opinion that there's too much suffering in this world for me to bring more into it. Like I said earlier, nobody is immune to disease and illness. I could have a kid that... We just went to a funeral for a 4-year-old with brain cancer the other day. Stuff's hard out there. So ask yourself, like really, really sit with yourself and ask your partner too. Why do we want kids? Why do we want to bring another human into this world? What will that fulfill for us? And honestly, you guys, a lot of people, their answers don't come from a very good place, in my opinion. I have literally heard things like, they would look so cute in the little clothes, and the little nursery would be so cute. It would just be so cute seeing a little me running around. What else have I heard? The little me running around, I've heard that a lot. Oh, I just wanted to have, just a little me and a little version of my husband running around. It's so cute. And it's like, yeah, but you literally brought a whole nother human into this world without their consent because you wanted it to look like you. I know my opinions on this don't jive with people. I just want to say what I think. My advice to you about this is think about why you want kids. Why would it be fulfilling to you to bring a human life into this world, considering the fact that they could suffer with illness, they could suffer with poverty and homelessness, they could suffer with whatever, any type of thing. With all those risks considered, why do you want to bring a human in the world? And what does it mean to you? And if you come up with a good answer, great, have a kid. But honestly, a lot of people, it's for kind of selfish reasons. Like, I've literally heard too, like, well, who's going to take care of me when I'm old? I need somebody to take care of me when I'm old. Girl, there's nursing homes for that. What if your kid ends up hating you for no reason and you don't end up having somebody to take care of you when you're older? That happens, you know? To bring a human life into this world because you're going to depend on it to take care of you when you're older, I'm not digging that. Not really. So that's my advice to you. Think really long and hard about the why. Not if you want to or not, the why. Why are you going to bring a human into this world? Okay, more family stuff. Seems obvious again. But before you get married, discuss the following. Kids, like we talked about, money, politics, and sex. Talk about them, and talk about them a lot. And make sure you're on the same page. Like, honestly, do it a lot. Even the most healthy of relationships in one of those areas, usually there's a problem. Usually there's something they need to work out. I don't think there's much more to be said with that. It's pretty obvious. Like, really talk those things through. Make sure you're on the same page. So a little bit about money now. Please, 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 please start investing early. Just do it. I know it's boring adult stuff. If you do it right, you could retire early. If you want some basics on like the bare minimum bones investing strategies, I forget his name, it's Graham something. I followed his advice to a T and it's been performing very well. I was able to buy a house with that. But basically what I did was, long story short, he said just buy 2 index funds through Vanguard. VT Sachs, and I think it was VTIAX. It's like a domestic index fund and an international one. Put a little chunk of money into those every month and watch it grow. Your money sitting in a bank account is losing money. Every year, the dollar becomes a different value, right? Like a dollar today is not near as valuable as the dollar was last year. So like, let's say you put $10,000 in your bank account in 2010. And you just keep it there and you don't touch it. And you think, great, I have $10,000 and it's 2022. You don't have $10,000 anymore. You have 10,000 literal dollars, but the purchasing power of that is way less than it was when you put it in there in 2009. Because I don't know about you, but I feel like I can't walk out the door anymore without spending $100. Like, everything's just crazy expensive. So if your money, all of your money is just sitting in a bank account, you're losing money because of the concept of inflation and whatnot. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money when you're this young. It can be just a little bit. Put it in those index funds I mentioned and you'll be golden. Okay, we're on the home stretch. I have a finished bodice here. Let me turn it right side out. Should have hemmed the sleeves first. It would have been easier. Now that they're attached, it'll be a little hard, but that's okay. I have a finished bodice. I just need to hem the sleeves on this and then do the binding on the neck. I have a skirt here. It's literally just a rectangle panel that I'm going to gather and attach to the waist. So now I'm going to do the gathering while I talk to you about my next tip. But first I need to serge that. One sec. This next tip is a little bit more about job stuff. I'm hopping around, sorry. I remember when I was entering the world of work after grad school, I was just so scared. Like, I was scared that I was going to look like an idiot at any job because I didn't really have any experience, and it made me scared to apply to anything. But let me tell you something. Now I've been in quote-unquote corporate America for a few years. Let me tell you, nobody knows what they're doing. People with years of experience don't know what they're doing. Sometimes, at least when it comes to certain fields, like, it gets so niche that like at any job you go to, you're gonna have to get on the job training to know what you're doing. Literally no one knows what they're doing. They're all faking it. I swear to you, they are all faking it. I used to be so intimidated to talk to like directors and VPs, like vice presidents of companies. Oh my God. They don't know what they're doing either, trust me. They don't know what they're doing. You are good. Talk to anybody. Honestly, I feel like the people who think like, oh, I can't talk to them, they're so smart and they have more experience than me and I don't know what I'm doing, like, those are usually the people that are open and willing to learn, which probably means you're smart, which probably means you'll keep up with the conversation just fine. Like I said earlier, I kind of touched on this. If you don't know something at a job, admit it. Say you don't know. People will respect you so much more if you say, I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. I'm willing to do the research. I don't know, but we can do an experiment on that, like whatever. People will respect you a lot more when you admit to not knowing something, but you exhibit the skill set to want to fill that gap. I promise you, no one knows what they're doing. I promise you. Don't let that hold you back from like applying to jobs and talking to people. I promise, no one knows what they're doing. We are all human sacks of flesh on this earth just trying to figure this out. We're all equal. So I have little fun, quirky tips too, like I told you, like just silly little things I've learned over the years. I don't know who this will apply to. I'm gonna gather my skirt now. If you're baking and you get annoyed that the parchment paper won't stay flat, it keeps rolling up, crinkle the parchment paper first, like just crinkle it in your hands in a ball, just a little bit, you don't have to go overboard. Crinkle it up, roll it in a ball, stretch it out, it'll lay flat. It won't roll up anymore. Why do my gathering stitches always do this? I feel like they're gonna break. I hate this. I'm gonna take this out. I think I've finally learned in my sewing career, I don't like gathering with machine stitches. I like gathering with hand basting stitches. It just gathers much better. So I'm gonna take this out and do it by hand. And while I do that, I can tell you, clean from top to bottom. The reason being, dust falls, right? So clean the top of your fan, dust the ceilings, let it fall to the ground. Heck, sometimes when I'm like cleaning the kitchen, I'll wipe all the counters first, like literally just wipe the crumbs on the floor because I know I'm gonna vacuum. So, and it falls there anyway. So clean from top to bottom. I'm at a point where I'm losing daylight. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish up this dress and then tomorrow I'll meet you back with the finished product. And I really, like I said, I want to hear your takes on everything. I really, really, really do. So please leave a comment if you feel any sort of way about anything I said, or heck, leave a comment with your life advice for 20-year-olds. And I will meet you back tomorrow with the finished product so I can show you what it looks like, and we'll wrap this up then. I don't know if this is too bright or not. Well, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you want, just to make sure that we're telling YouTube I'm doing a good job, because I want to make sure I'm putting good content out there for you guys. I did want to say, I thought of a couple more things while I was finishing up the dress that I want to tell you real quick. Number one, aging is a privilege. Especially as women, we in this world are, whether directly or indirectly, very much influenced to look like try to make ourselves look like we're not going to age ever, and that aging is bad and being old is bad. And this is still something I'm working on myself, frankly. Jonathan Van Ness actually said this. This is where I heard this. He said, aging is a privilege, and it's very true. You know, talking about the concept of disease and illness that I was talking about earlier in the video, like it could happen anytime. So it literally is a privilege to be able to age and to live even more years in this life, in this world, exploring hobbies and things that we love and spending time with family. So aging is a privilege, don't forget that, and don't be scared to physically age. I think wrinkles can be very beautiful. Like, to me, when I look at an older woman with, you know, crow's feet by her eyes, I think, wow, she probably had a really happy life. Like, I want to chat with her. She's probably a really positive person. When I was a barista at one point in my life, there was this regular customer, and she was older. I want to say late 60s, early 70s, very like hippie-ish. I don't know what the word is nowadays. She just came off like very like granola girl kind of vibes. Really short gray hair. She always wore a little beanie and her Birkenstocks and everything. I loved her, and she had these beautiful wrinkles. Like, I don't know how else to say it other than that. I just thought she was beautiful because, like, when I looked at her face, I could see joy, like years of joy. So try to think of aging as a privilege, and wrinkles can be a beautiful thing. You don't have to hide them. And the second thing I want to tell you is, I should have started with the other one to end on a positive note. I had to use this the other day, actually. If somebody makes an inappropriate joke around you, when I went to that, somebody was asking me, you know, where I live now, and like, we were talking about where we live, where we grew up, blah, blah, blah. And this person said something to me like, oh, wow, you live in such and such city now. And these words literally came out of her mouth. She literally said, do you have a problem with like bums and ghetto people there? I really hate how society basically tries to make it seem like homeless people don't exist. These are human beings that may have come down on hard times and need help. And we literally set up a society where you have to have money to literally survive. And if you happen to come at a point in your life where you can't make money, you're disabled or something, we're just gonna like put them on the streets and pretend they don't exist. Like, make it make sense. So she literally asked me that. And my tip for you is, if somebody does something like that, if somebody makes an inappropriate joke or says something inappropriate, if you want to address it without literally addressing it, play dumb. And what I mean by that is, like, pretend like you have no idea what they're talking about and their words just are so confusing to you. So what I did was I said, what do you mean? And like, she tried to like explain it again, and I still played dumb, and I said, I'm sorry, I guess I'm just not understanding. What do you mean? Like, play dumb. Force them into a corner, into a position where they have to literally say what they actually are trying to ask you, and they'll get the hint eventually that you don't appreciate what they're saying and you don't agree with that sentiment. So, sorry to end on a negative note. I guess I'll have to make a part 2 if I think of more. Like I said, this is the Cora pattern from the Fabrics store. I'll put a link for the pattern in the description box of this video. I will also make sure to link a playlist for you somewhere on the screen here of some content I think you might enjoy, some other content of mine. With all that being said, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.